Many people are very certain of their beliefs. I know I sure am. But I wonder, what things are we going to look back on 10 years down the road and laugh at what we thought for sure was true that turned out not to be right? That's what I'm thinking. Hey, before we jump into today's topic, I just want to remind everybody, hit that subscribe button. We're trying to grow our membership and viewers and get this information out to more people here on YouTube. And with that, let me jump into talking about, our belief systems and thinking. One of my favorite topics to think about is, how do I think better? How do we make better decisions about things? And as we kind of get to the end of the year and reflecting on what happened in 2024, it reminded me of a little blurb I had read from a guy named James Clear. James wrote the book Atomic Habits, great book. We'll put a link to it in the show notes. Highly recommend. He also has a newsletter that comes out. And a little while back, he had a little blurb and it said, if you look back 10 years from now, you're almost certain to find some mistaken beliefs or some things that you didn't think were true or things that you thought were true that turned out not to be. What are the blind spots? So it's interesting looking back societally, looking back on, things like cigarette smoking, right? There was one point in time when doctors endorsed cigarette brands. And then think back to, I'm old enough to remember when seatbelt usage was first becoming a thing, first becoming a law. Man, now we don't get in a car without using a seatbelt, right? Those things you look back and I go, golly, how do we think that way? So it's interesting looking at your personal life as well. What things did you think were true that weren't quite true? I look back professionally, and when I first started my career, I was really focused on the facts and the numbers and the statistics. And I knew that the emotional and the psychological part of things of financial planning were important, but I didn't realize quite how important they were. And as I've grown over time, I realized, oh yeah, it's important to have those facts, but man, how do we make good decisions? How do we feel about our money and our finances and what it means to us? I just recognize that so much more. I thought, oh yeah, it's not just the facts and the figures, right? I really put too much weight on that, and now I realize that it's much more of a balance. So it's interesting as you think about that. And then you think, one thing looking back, all right, how have I evolved as a person, as a society? And then you think forward, right? Go forward 10 years. What are we going to look back on? What are the things professionally that I know are true right now? And you go, oh man, that wasn't quite exactly what I thought it was. Societally, that's hard for me to think about that personally. I think society, with some of the technology things, we don't really know what we're getting into. We don't know artificial intelligence. It'll be really interesting to look back and see, what we regret or what we are surprised that we thought. And that helps me right now maybe to think about, makes me think about Charlie Munger, always invert. What are the things that I think are true right now that maybe aren't? What are the things that I don't believe are true? And I might find out that there's another side to that story. Like, how do I think about those things in order to make the best decisions that I can today? And so that I encourage you to give some thought to this. I'm interested in knowing, always interested in viewer feedback, but if you feel like sharing, hey, what things did you believe 5, 10, 15 years ago that you've changed on? And what things can you identify today that maybe in the future you go, it'll be really interesting to see how we think about this. Fascinating topic. Making better decisions is great for financial planning. It's great for us as people, for us as society. And so with that, I'll wrap and say thanks for watching, and drop a comment in the comment box. Love to hear from you.